The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold. Sergeant Daniel Carter sat beside his armored vehicle, polishing his rifle with meticulous care. The war had dragged on for years, an unrelenting storm that had torn apart families, cities, and the very fabric of life in the United States. Daniel had enlisted at the onset of the conflict, driven by patriotism and the belief that he could make a difference. But war had a way of changing a man, stripping away idealism and leaving behind only raw survival. He had lost many comrades along the way, faces he could still see in his dreams, voices that echoed in his mind when the night grew too quiet. The enemy was relentless. Once, they had been fellow Americans, but ideological divisions had widened into an abyss, leading to an all-out civil war. The country had split into factions, each claiming to fight for justice, for freedom. But Daniel had long since stopped trying to decipher the politics. His duty was simple: protect his unit, complete the mission, and survive another day. Tonight, they were stationed at the outskirts of a ruined city, their orders clear: hold the position until reinforcements arrived. Intelligence reports suggested that an attack was imminent. The rebels, desperate and growing in numbers, had nothing to lose. "You think they'll come tonight?" Private Reynolds asked, breaking the silence. Daniel exhaled slowly. "They always do." As if on cue, a distant explosion shattered the calm. The ground trembled, and within moments, the sky was ablaze with tracer rounds and mortar fire. The enemy had arrived. Daniel barked orders, his voice unwavering despite the chaos. His men scrambled to their positions, weapons at the ready. The battlefield became a symphony of destruction, bullets whizzing past, grenades detonating, the cries of wounded soldiers mingling with the deafening roar of combat. Through the smoke and fire, Daniel spotted the rebels advancing. Their faces were hardened, their movements precise. He fired, each shot a calculated effort to keep his men alive. The battle raged for what felt like hours, but in war, time was a fickle thing. Finally, as dawn began to break, the gunfire ceased. The rebels had retreated, leaving behind the wounded and the dead. Daniel surveyed the aftermath with weary eyes. His men had suffered losses. Good soldiers, good people. He knelt beside a fallen comrade, Corporal Jenkins, whose eyes stared blankly at the sky. A pang of grief tightened his chest, but there was no time to mourn. Reinforcements arrived later that morning, bringing supplies and fresh troops. A high-ranking officer approached Daniel, clapping a hand on his shoulder. "You held the line, Sergeant. The nation owes you." Daniel nodded, though he felt no pride. The war had taken too much. As he looked at the destruction around him, he wondered if there would ever be an end to the bloodshed. For now, he would keep fighting. Because in war, there was no choice. End.